Yo, what's going on, Digi fans, and welcome back to another deck profile. Today we are going to go over my Rasenmon or Rasenmon deck profile. Alright, so I'd like to keep this one kind of short and sweet. I really love this deck. This is the deck that's more or less gotten me into the game. Because when I saw this deck was, already being made in Japan, that's about the time that I jumped into the game kind of full force. So I've been really excited to build this deck, and I'm really excited to show it to you. This is just my take, my preferences, things like that. So it is slightly different than probably some of the ones that you'll see out there. But let's be honest, most deck profiles are probably the same. So if you came to mine first, thank you so much. I would greatly appreciate it if you left a like. If you want to subscribe, that's cool too. Mainly upload Numalok stuff right now, but I'm hoping to change that a little bit in the future. So with that being said, let's jump on into this. We run 4 FuryMode. It's the Rasenmon egg. We run at least one of everything of the Rasenmon line except for the champion. The champion is arguably the worst of the Rasenmon line, unfortunately. Hopefully they'll come up with a new one in the future so that we can have all of the line in a deck. I would really like that, but we run 4 FuryMode because you can run Upamon and things like that, things to help you draw, things of that nature, which is what a lot of yellow decks do. They run Upamon, things like that. Upamon is just a fan favorite, which is why it's the only thing coming to mind. But really what you want to do is have FuryMode just because, or if there's another yellow Digi-Egg out there with Digiburst ability, then that's what you want, because you're going to be Digibursting cards from underneath your stack. So you might as well get something for Digibursting your cards, and that's what FuryMode does. It says when this card is trashed due to activating this Digimon's Digiburst, one of your opponent's Digimon loses 1000 DP for the turn. But so basically you just want him because you're going to be sacking a lot of your Digiburst cards, so you want to get something from that. And a lot of times you can snipe some pretty good rookies, or a pretty good amount of rookies, by doing this. So, alright, and then onto the rookies themselves. We run 1 Promo Patamon, just because I'm a big fan of the Promo Patamon. I like the ability of that if you're really low on your security, you can just play him and recover 1. So, I really like that. I think it's... the cost of 4 makes it very iffy if it's worth it or not, but I like having this little safety net. I've said it in other deck profiles, other on-paper deck profiles as well. I like having this little safety net here. He's just awesome. I like him. Then going on to 3 Lopmon, because Lopmon is going to be another way that we're going to be able to lower our cost of cards by getting rid of security, and also gain cards into our hand, because Lopmon says, on play, look at the top card of your security stack. You may add that card to your hand to trigger draw 1. So you don't have to add the card to your hand, but it will let you look at the top card so that you kind of have that knowledge as well. So Lopmon is very good. You can 100% take out the Patamon for another Lopmon if you want to. Like I said, I'm just a big fan of the Patamon, so this is going to be your draw power, and probably how you get down some of your security to make your cards cheaper. And then on to the best boy himself. We run 3 Rasenmon. I know some people really want to run, 1 to 2 to even none in these kind of builds, but I'm just such a big fan of Rasenmon, I can't give him up. And so we run 3 because we kind of want him to be able to be recycled. You definitely don't have to run 3. You could even swap out one of these Rasenmon for another Lopmon, whatever you want. This is, again, just my preference. I really love Rasenmon, and if it made sense, I would run him at 4. But I just don't see any more than 3. But with that being said, we do run 3, and his ability is inheritable. When this card is trashed due to activating this Digimon's Digiburst, return this card to its owner's hand. So he's just going to recycle himself and be able to do that. So, all right, and then we run 4 of the structure deck Patamon. This says the inheritable of once per turn when an opponent's Digimon is deleted by dropping its DP to 0, gain 1 memory. So simple as that. It definitely happens in this deck more often than not. So because this deck is, well, it's sort of focused on 2 things, and we'll kind of get into that, but DP dropping is one of the 2 things that it does focus on. So you can gain a memory off that, so that's very good. And then we run 3 Labramon. So Labramon is essentially the same thing as Patamon, except when they drop to 0, you're going to draw a card instead of gain a memory. So it's as simple as that. When an opponent's Digimon is deleted by dropping their DP to 0, draw a card. So you're going to have draw power, memory power, recyclability, security knowledge upon drawing, so many awesome things out of your rookies. It's amazing. And then you can definitely swap these out for something different. I like having 1 Bulkmon. Let's see here, it's BT6 Bulkmon, because early game you can have him on, as your champion out here, and it says your turn while you have 3 or more security cards, this Digimon gains +1 security attack. So early game, if you want to be risky, or even late game if you have enough security, then you could start swinging for big security attacks by just having a champion out here. So I like having 1 of him for the aggression. I don't know if I would run more than that. It's kind of risky. I definitely just like having the 1 for the aggression to start scaring my opponents early. Possibly even late game benefits from that. So, and then we run 2 Pytomon, because he's just going to be our blocker. We don't need too many blockers in this deck, I don't think, just because, the less security we have, the better for us anyway. So really all he's doing is he's being out here for if they're trying to swing for lethal, if they're trying to get that last hit in, you can just jump up and block. He's not super duper important, but I kind of think you do need at least 1 or 2 blockers in here. This deck is very aggressive, and that's kind of my play style. If it's not your play style, you can definitely put more blockers and things like that in. Definitely recommend more Pytomon, Unimon, the Unicorn Digimon as well. He's a pretty good blocker, so I definitely recommend those if you are less aggressive than myself. But I like the aggressive style. And then next we have Aquilamon. Aquilamon. Aquilamon is going to be able to digivolve onto our yellow Digimon. It is going to be a red Digimon, so keep that in mind. This is not a 2-color card, so this is a red Digimon. But with that being said, when you would play this card from your hand, reduce its play cost by 1 if you have a yellow Digimon in play. So you can play this for essentially rookie numbers as well. So, and then it says, its play cost, when attacking, if you have a yellow Digimon in play, delete one of your opponent's Digimon with 5,000 DP or less. So this is going to be a kind of like, the red cards in here are going to be more towards deletion, and the yellow cards are going to be more towards kind of the benefits that we want, if that makes sense. So the red cards are very, very good because they can get rid of a lot of rookies, things like that, things that are overtaking the board, Vmons, things like that, things you're going to go up against like that. But Aquilamon is just so good. I don't see you running any less than 4. If you do, definitely let me know how and why in the comments below, because I would love to know, but I personally don't see any less than 4 Aquilamon. And then we run 4 Dinohumon, because Dinohumon is both yellow and red, so that's going to be perfect for this deck, because our lower levels are yellow and red, and then our higher levels are yellow and purple. So as long as you're keeping, as long as you're keeping that yellow throughout, you're golden. So Dinohumon is going to be absolutely amazing for that fact, because he is yellow, he is red, so you're also going to be getting the when attacking, one of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 1000 DP for the turn. So just by attacking and Digibursting, you're going to be knocking out at least 2 or 3 rookies most of the time. So with that being said, on to the ultimates. We run 2 Chimeramon, just because Chimeramon is just essentially good. You definitely don't have to run 2, it just makes sense to run 1 or 2 in this deck, just because Chimeramon's amazing. He is a white, so you'll have to double check me on this, but I don't think you can Digivolve onto a white. So I know white are essentially no color, if I'm correct on that, but I know you can't I know you can Digivolve from any color because of the rainbow symbol in his Digivolution cost. See that little rainbow, but I don't think you can Digivolve onto a white. So fact check me on that. Do your Google searches. But with that being said, he is a level 4 and level 4 of any color. You can Digivolve him for 0. So you can Digivolve into him for free, essentially, if you have 2 cards, 2 level 4s out. Then it says, when Digivolving, you can place 1 level 5 or lower Digimon card from your trash under this Digimon as its bottom Digivolution card. Then up to 4 of your opponent's Digimon get minus 1000 DP for each of this Digimon's colors until the end of your opponent's next turn. So, and then it says this Digimon is treated as also having the color of its Digivolution cards. While this Digimon has 4 or more colors, it gets plus 4000 DP. So, thanks to his effect, you're going to usually have no problem Digivolving on top of him, because he's going to count for every color underneath him as well, which is usually going to be at least yellow, which is perfectly fine for this deck. But just keep in mind, like I said, if you have to hard play him, he's not going to be able to be Digivolved on top of. So keep that in mind. Alright, and then we run 2 Stephilemon, because this deck, like I said, this is an aggressive build, so we want his inheritable. His non-inheritable is also pretty good. It says, when Digivolving, if this card, or if this Digimon has 1 Digivolution card, you may place up to 2 level 4 or lower yellow Digimon cards from your hand to the bottom of this Digimon's Digivolution cards in any order, then draw 1 for each Digimon card you placed. So he's going to be draw power as well as kind of loading your stack for your Rasenmon. But then his inheritable is the main thing we want to get out of this. It says, when this card is trashed due to activating this Digimon's Digiburst, one of your Digimon gain +1 security for the turn. So it doesn't even have to be the Rasenmon. Keep that in mind, that you're just giving, because you Digibursted this card, you are giving one thing on your field, +1 security. So it doesn't have to be your Rasenmon. So, with that being said, that's an amazing card. I absolutely love Stephilemon. That's why we're running 2 of it as well, because I just don't personally see it running anything less. Anyone who is, I kind of think is making a mistake. I could be wrong, but that's just my opinion. That's my playstyle. So, alright, and then the last ultimate of the deck is for Silphymon. This is the golden child of the deck, because this is going to be allowing you to Digivolve on top of any of your champions, because it is a red and a yellow. So you're going to have no problem Digivolving with this card, and you're even going to be able to DNA Digivolve into this card for 0 with a red and a yellow. So very good there. And then its ability is, when Digivolving, one of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 5000 DP for the turn. Then when DNA Digivolving, delete one of your opponent's Digimon with 5000 DP or less. So, and I have to fact check this as well, so keep that in mind. But I'm pretty sure that when you Digivolve with this, as long as it's a DNA Digivolve, I believe you get both effects, because you are still Digivolving, if I'm not mistaken. But then if you're only regularly Digivolving, I believe you only get the first effect. So I think that's how that works. Might have to double check me on that. I'll have to double check myself on that moving forward. But then its inheritable ability is, when attacking, delete one of your opponent's Digimon with 5000 DP or less. So very, very good. They're going to be minusing DP and deleting all in the same thing. Red and yellow is kind of it's kind of become my favorite combination of colors, because you're lowering DP and you're deleting things all in one go, and it's just so much to handle, so much to deal with, and it's very, very aggressive, and I love it so much. So my favorite color combo right now is 100% red and yellow. So, and that's going to be the ultimates. So on to the megas, and more or less the star of the show. We're going to be running 4 Rasenmon. Rasenmon is the star of the show. He's going to be your big boss monster, so you definitely want to run 4, no less than 4, because you're going to need all 4 copies, at least all 4 copies, because you want to see this card. You do not want to go without this card. So, it says, when digivolving into this card from your hand, the memory cost of this Digivolution card is equal to the number of cards in your security stack. If you have 0 security cards, the memory cost is still 1. So, when you're digivolving, whatever your security is what his cost is. So it says 5 here on the card, but do not let that scare you, because we are not going to be worried about playing him when we have 5 security. We're going to be waiting if we can, just to be getting our security down as low as we can without being too risky. But we're going to try to get our security down to get his cost a lot cheaper, which is going to be absolutely amazing, especially when you can get it off for 1. Oh, it's so good. And then his main effect is once per turn, Digiburst up to 4 cards. One of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 3000 DP for the turn for each card trashed by this card's effect. So the bigger your stack, the better, because you can get you can minus a card up to 12,000 DP by just Digibursting 4 cards from underneath him. And then because of the cards that we have, the Rasenmon cards that we have, the Fury, the Stephile, you're going to be gaining things off of that. You're going to be gaining security. You're going to be minusing your opponent's DP. So many things are going to be happening with this card and his Digiburst ability. You're going to be able to get rid of cards. You're going to be minusing cards. It's absolutely amazing. Everything you want. So much going on. But I highly, highly, highly recommend you play 4. I do not see this deck working anywhere near as well as it does without 4. Alright, sorry about that. I don't know how long exactly the camera froze, but you guys got the point. For Rasenmon. The face cam was still working, I believe, so here we go. On to the second star of the show is Rasenmon FuryMode, and he is Rasenmon FuryMode because he is only a common. Yes, you heard me right. He is furious about only being a common. So if you can get any, I don't know if they come with pre-release versions of this or not, but if you can, I highly recommend getting them, because common does not do him justice. Anyway, this is going to be your saving grace of the deck. This is what makes the deck so overpowered. Running 3 of this is going to make sure that it doesn't clog up your hand. It's going to be there every time that you need it, and you're going to have a Rasenmon to go along with it, playing the 4 Rasenmon. So I 100% agree with the fact that the ratio for these cards, the 2 Rasenmon, should be 3 and 4. If you play 4 of this, you're running risk of clogging your hand. If it works for you, though, it works for you. So don't let me tell you how to play your deck. But I will say that for this build that I'm presenting you, it's 3-4 all the way. But it says end of attack. You may digivolve this Digimon into a Rasenmon in your hand, ignoring its Digivolution requirements and without paying its Digivolution cost. So at the end of his attack, if you have a Rasenmon in hand, which you should, you are going to be digivolving on top of this as well. And then once you've digivolved on top of this, you're going to be able to activate Rasenmon's main effect, which is to digiburst cards. And that's where his inheritable comes into play. But we're going to talk about that in just a second, because keep in mind that he also has another effect that says, at the end of your turn, trash the top card of your security stack. So he's going to be a surefire way of getting rid of security, making your Rasenmon cheaper for if you don't want to use this effect, if you don't want to attack with him yet. He's going to be a surefire way of getting rid of some of your own security quickly. And then his inheritable, but do keep in mind that that is a risky play, so you kind of want to make this like a one-shot, like, you know, a one-punch man kind of deck. But with that being said, his inheritable is, on your turn, when this card is trashed as a Digivolution card by Rasenmon's effect, unsuspend one of your Digimon. It gets plus 3000 DP for the turn. So, when you place your Rasenmon on top of your card, if it's after he attacks or not, it's either way. You place him on top after he attacks, and then you can use Rasenmon's ability to sack the Rasenmon FuryMode from underneath him, and then if you want to, you can stand your Rasenmon and give it plus 3000 DP. If you have a different card you'd rather stand, you can do that as well. But I'm pretty sure, yes, so whichever card you choose to stand, it can be any card that you have that can stand, or unsuspend, I should say. It can be any card, but keep in mind that whatever card you do unsuspend is the card that will get the +3. So usually though, it will be your Rasenmon that you will unsuspend after you've attacked. So you get an attack, you unsuspend, you can get another attack with a +3, so it's 14 DP. And then there are other cards that make that so much worth it, especially if you have a Stephilemon underneath, so you're going to be attacking with an extra security as well, so that's 1 security, and then 2 security with the Stephilemon, and then if you have other cards in here as well, it's going to be even more, so keep that in mind. This is more or less a one-punch man deck. It's going to take you usually 1 to 2 turns to take out your opponent once you hit Mega. So keep that in mind. Alright. Then we have 2 Kazuchimon as kind of our failsafe. This card is just overpowered, to be honest. It's so good. Kazuchimon should probably be at least 1 in every yellow deck in my opinion, but again, that's just my opinion. But his effect is, when Digivolving, if you have 3 or more security cards, gain 2 memory. If you have 2 or fewer security cards, you may recover 1 until they are 3 cards in your security stack. So if you're for some reason down to 1 security or whatever, you can play this and then recover up to 3 security cards. So he is the Patamon thing on crack, basically. Like, he's the Patamon failsafe, just overly powered. And then it says, on your turn, while you have 3 or more security cards, this Digimon gains +1 security attack. So very strong attacks, multiple security attacks. He's going to be recovering you, giving you memory, all kinds of stuff in 1 card. So he's absolutely amazing. And then moving on to our Tamers, we only run 1 Tamer, but it is 3 copies of TK and Kari. There are other Tamers you could use, like maybe TKs, things like that, but honestly, you don't really need that many Tamers. You only really want this because of its your ability to get off both effects, really. You're usually going to have less security cards than your opponent at first, so you're going to be gaining your 2 memory. And then when one of your yellow Digimon attacks, you can suspend this Tamer and have one of your opponent's Digimon lose 1000 DP for the turn. So that's also going to help with clearing out some rookies or whatever else you might need to get rid of for just that extra little oomph. But yeah, so you're usually going to be getting this off both effects, so that's really the only kind of Tamer you need, and you don't even really need it, but it does help out a good deal, so definitely recommend 2 to 3. I think 3 because you can see it pretty often. It's not always there, and it's not always an issue if it's not there, but 3 seems like a very sweet spot for that for those cards. So alright, and then we're moving on to the option cards. We run just a few option cards, really. There's not a lot of room in here, so we're going to be running 2 Blinding Rays, so that we can start trashing some of our security, making things cheaper, and also gaining memory because of it. So, gaining 2 memory for free, basically. Gaining 2 memory for doing exactly what you want to do with the deck with other cards. So, absolutely free card. Play it, gain 2 memory, pretty much. It's so good. Then we run, because again this is more of an aggressive build, we run 3, excuse me for if I missay this, but Quellialize Blast. We run 3 of this because again we want to see this, kind of like TK and Kari. It's not a big deal if we don't see this, but if we do see it, then we're probably going to have game in a couple turns. So with this, you're going to be doing the combo with your Rasenmon. You're going to be sacking Stephilemon, getting multiple attacks off, getting multiple security attacks off. And with this, you're going to be doing exactly what you're already doing, just ×2 pretty much. So this says, so basically this also works just like Rasenmon. So it's a cost of 5, but depending on your security, this is cheaper. So if you have low security, you have a low cost. So it says one of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 3000 DP for the turn. Then one of your Rasenmon gains +1 security attack for the turn. So it's as simple as that. You're going to be minusing something by 3000 DP, and you're also going to be buffing your Rasenmon's security attack. So with that being said, that's just an amazing card. Again, we run 3 just because we want to see it, but it's not a big deal if we don't see it. And then the very last card of the deck is 1 Wyvern's Breath, because Wyvern's Breath is just good. If it's in your security, you activate its main effect, and then if it's not in security, it's a high cost, but you're pretty much killing something on the field. There's not a lot of things that can get past this. It says main, one of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 15,000 DP for the turn. So essentially, it just dies. So we only run 1 because it's not the biggest deal. It's not, the minusing DP is nice, but it's not the main thing that we want to go for. What we want to go for is we want to make everything as strong as possible, get as many attacks off as possible, and do that with multiple security attacks, so that we're threatening our opponent, scaring our opponent, and making our opponent worry about their security more so than our security. That's the main goal. And then when we can get minus DP to lower attack cards, that's kind of the safety precaution, I guess, as far as being aggressive. We want to minus our opponent's attack so that they have to worry about that as well. There's so many things in this deck that our opponent has to worry about, and that minusing DP is just going to add to the stack of things to worry about. So with that being said, that is my Rasenmon build. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'm a huge fan of this deck. If there's anything that we end up editing or changing and it ends up being a big help in the future, I'll probably do another one on this deck, just because I love this deck so much. This is my all-time favorite deck of all of BT8, and I hope you guys enjoy it as well. I hope this does wonders for you as it's done for me. And with that being said, I'm going to get the heck out of here. So thank you guys so much. Leave a like down below. Let me know what you guys thought of this deck, how this deck works out for you, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.
Hi, I'm Ty Kamaya, and you just watched my pal's video on Cord Gaming Digi. Be sure to share with all your friends in the digital world.